My name is Simon. I'm an English literature teacher at an international school here in Nicaragua. I've been out here for about 10 years now, and I've been teaching at secondary level for nearly 5 of those years. And I'm working on the assessment-only route to get my qualified teacher status. Well, at secondary level, I've been teaching this is my 5th year teaching. I'm teaching years 9 through to 12. It's a high school system in over here. And I've been teaching English literature and a subject called Capstone, which is like a research and type subject for the last 4 and a bit years. I also have experience teaching at university level, as well as ESL teaching around the world, teaching English as a second or as a foreign language. So lots of different angles of coming into teaching, be it through ESL, university, and the last 4 and a bit years here at a secondary school. I think the main reason is I've been teaching for nearly 5 years at secondary level, and I don't have an official qualification for what I do. And I feel with the amount of effort I put into my teaching, this is the career I want to pursue in teaching and learning and education, that there was a feeling that not having a proper qualification to do it just didn't feel quite right. I felt like I needed that backbone to say, yes, I'm a qualified teacher. This is what I do. This is what I will be doing. This is what I love doing. And so having that qualification felt like it was important to me, and to know that my experience was not just contained to the one school that has employed me without having a teaching qualification, especially I think during the pandemic, where we saw that things can change so quickly and so unexpectedly. So as to make sure that I would know that the experience I have here would combine with a qualified teacher's qualification with QTS, so that it could be used elsewhere should that be necessary. Well, I think for the school, because it makes teachers mindful of what they're doing. So by having to think, okay, how am I matching these standards? How am I showing evidence of these standards? We're being forced to think, okay, yeah, well, am I doing what I should be doing, or am I planning purposefully to match with the standards? Am I aware of differentiation? Am I doing these things in my classroom management? And I think that's a benefit to me as a teacher, and of course to my school, because by doing so, it involves more mindful planning, more awareness of what I'm doing, and then being able to say to myself at the end of the class, okay, did I fulfill those teacher standards, or are there areas where I'm still falling a little bit short? And so I think that's mutually beneficial to students, to teachers, and to the school in general as well. A lot of the evidence I have includes examples of my schemes of work and activities that I've done in order to try and reinforce learning. So, you know, we've worked through an act of the play, or a section of the play Antigone by Sophocles, and something I've given evidence of is an activity we did at the end of that, which was to create something called pop sonnets, which was using a poetic form, but creating their own version of poetry related to that play. So, you know, an activity where I felt like I've tested multiple skills in a collaborative way, and those sorts of things, which I think hit a lot of the standards. Observation reports as well, where my observers have shown me to be hitting certain standards. Lesson plans, meetings with my department where we've discussed things related to curriculum, and testimonials from my superiors, testimonials from parents as well, and also evidence of where I flagged up student concerns to the wellbeing team. So issues that have arisen due to the overall well-being, or relating to the overall well-being of students. I've redacted, of course, and shared them in the folder. So those are the main things, I think, really. Probably the easiest way to demonstrate it is through the observation reports, because the advantage with the observation report is to be able to speak to the observer before and say, discuss with them what area is it that I feel that I'm not quite demonstrating enough. So for me, one of the issues that, not just for the AO, but for teaching in general, what I really want to work on is differentiation. So to be able to say to the person observing me, please give all your general feedback and everything that needs to go on the form. But one thing I would particularly like you to look out for me are any efforts you see me making towards differentiation, what you think might be working with that, what I could do better at in order to really encompass the individual needs of each learner in the room, and then get that feedback on that. So it's useful for me as a teacher as well. And I would say that's probably the easiest way to demonstrate the standards. I think it's also because it's written, it's a narrative thing. It's just easy as well. I imagine it's easier for my tutor, for my examiner, to see from that observation report exactly what's on it and judge from that how I'm meeting the standards or otherwise. Whereas the other things like the schemes of work or the lesson activities maybe requires a little bit more inference because they're not actually in that class. They haven't seen that class being delivered. So they have to accept that my instruction of it, or my guiding, my pacing, transfers into a lesson that delivers those standards. So I think they all can do a bit, but the easiest are probably the observation reports. So I think the AO is a great program. It's really useful for people in a similar position to myself who have some experience and want to get that qualification for their own personal and professional development, but would just strongly encourage people applying to make sure they do have the time required before getting into the assessment period to gather the evidence and really think about what they can provide to show that they're meeting those standards.